Hello, hello. Welcome, heartfelt leaders. This is Practicing Life podcast, and I'm your host, Ashley Pitzer. Did you know that everything in life is mental? One of the coolest things that I have learned through this spiritual enlightenment path is that we are all living from our own model of reality. And even though we might be in the same earthbound existence, that whatever we have going on in our minds, whatever stories we tell ourselves, whatever interpretations we have, whatever our thoughts are speaking to us creates our model of reality. And therefore, two people can have the exact same circumstance, but experience it completely differently. And, we lose sight of this. And even in the world of like going to school or social media or anything like that, we try to bind everybody together as if everybody has the same thoughts and the same perceptions. As a hypnotist, as somebody who studies how the brain works, as somebody who is a life coach, I can tell you now that I'm on the other side of this and I realize that is just so far from the truth. In fact, there's so little truth, universal truth to this world. I mean, one universal truth is that our body is going to die. Like that is a universal truth. I mean, we joke around about the fact that there's only like two real things in the world is that you're going to die and you're going to pay taxes. But I just wanted to bring this to your attention because today's episode is going to be over your mental thoughts and what it is creating for you in your life, because I want to empower you. This life that you are living, it doesn't, if you're stuck someplace, if you're not happy with what's in your bank account or in your relationships or, your work life, your career, where it's going, your financial abundance, if you're not happy with how it is possible to change it. And I'm here to empower you and I'm here to help you find that way, find a solution. So why am I bringing up everything is mental? Okay. As a former personal trainer and as somebody who has spent a lot of my life in the athletic realm, I'm going to approach this from an athletic standpoint and we'll apply it to other things. I was watching the show, I believe it's on Netflix, with my husband. He picked it out and this is our, time together, our relaxing time together. It's not really bonding time, but it's relaxing time. And we kind of pick out a show to watch once a week. And he picked out something on, I believe on Netflix called 100 Physical. And this is based in another country and they've taken a bunch of people, they say from different cultures, different age, different backgrounds that are all athletic and they put them through these challenges and they're trying to find the person with the best physique body. Like, what is the ideal body as far as muscular strength, balance, stamina, stability, all of these things? It's a really fascinating show, and I'm not here to promote it. Like, I have no affiliations with it. But one of the things that I saw repeatedly in the show, and it speaks to everything as mental, is how your thoughts affect your ability to perform. And I relate to the show so much because of the fact that I've competed. I mean, even in my 40s, I was competing with my triathlons. And so much of winning comes down to your mental fortitude. And so a lot of people are going to be able to relate to this. Even if you're not an athlete, we'll relate it to you. So hang in there. But repeatedly, these contestants would get into a circumstance where they were competing against themselves. They were competing against other people naturally, because that was the test, to take 100 people and narrow it down to like the one winner. And so they were naturally competing against other people, but in reality, they were competing against themselves and they were competing against the thoughts that they were thinking. And it routinely happened that once their thoughts started to get into the, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know how much longer I can take. Once their thoughts started to move into the pain, you could visibly see where they started to lose their breath control, where they started to stumble in their steps. Your mind has so much control over what you are experiencing in life. Your mind is so powerful. It is the most powerful part of you. Like, your emotions are super powerful, but guess what? Your emotions come from your thoughts. And as somebody who programs people's subconscious, if I help you, if you meet with me one-on-one, we're going to look at what's going on with your mind. What are you really thinking? And you have to get through these layers, these stacked stories, and these impressions to kind of get to the root cause. So if you've ever seen a hypnotist and you've come away being like, well, I saw them and it didn't help. It didn't help because you didn't get to the root cause. And that means that you need to find a hypnotist that has the ability to keep digging and pressing and challenging you, but also somebody who has the ability to coach and to try to take apart what you are saying and get out of the content, just to get to what your subconscious thoughts are that are hidden from you. Like that is where a really powerful hypnotist lies, and believing that it is possible and believing in the change, right? So those are some of the two key points when you're looking for hypnotists, right? My whole point in bringing this up is that your thoughts, when you're creating something in your life, your body is at subject to your thoughts. Your body always follows in line with your thoughts. Your emotions always follow in line with your thoughts. Your thoughts are so vital. They're so vital. Your self-talk, if that's one thing I can pound into your head, your self-talk shapes your reality. If you go into work and you think it's going to be a bad day, guess what? You're right, because you're creating the picture, you're creating the story, you're creating the expectations. Your brain is going to look and find evidence to prove you right. And the inner work really comes into challenging your own thoughts. I know that sometimes I can rub people the wrong way because my job is to challenge you, and you may not agree with what I am saying. But to challenge your own thoughts is going to give you a certain amount of power that you probably don't have today, because everything that you know has been taught to you. And in your childlike state, you took it as truth and evidence. Like you took it as, and like, this is the way it is. And you weren't taught because you didn't have the mental capacity as a child. Your brain wasn't developed to question what you learned. That comes later in life. And so now it's later in life and you're an adult and you can challenge your own thoughts. So everything is mental. And when those athletes on this show, their thoughts started to stray, when their attention was moved to, like, one contestant had broken his rib and he was running. And so when his pain started to flare up, it wasn't that his pain just started to flare up. It was that he was paying attention to the pain. And then it became bigger and unavoidable. Now, your body is telling you things, okay? So I'm not asking you to ignore your pain. I'm just explaining how the brain works and the power of it. Because in hypnosis, back in the day, like in the 1800s, before they had things like anesthesia, they used hypnosis to put people into a calm, relaxed state to be able to perform surgeries that would have killed people in the past. But with hypnosis, it was able to create a higher survival rate. So when you're training your brain, that's what it all is. That's what hypnosis is training your brain. When you're concentrating on something, that's where all your attention and your focus is, and that is what is going to be created in your life. So there was one contestant who was a female and smaller frame, and they taught everybody had the same circumstance. Everybody had to hold 40% of their weight, and everyone thought this girl was going to be out so fast. She was one of the top 5. They just eliminated everybody once they got to this point. So she was in the top 5. She could have made it to the first. It didn't matter because they stopped the show at this point. But you know what her thought was? I'm just going to focus on counting and breathing. She controlled her thoughts. She didn't move her thoughts to how hard is this? What is, what is the person next to me doing? I'm going to move my attention over to my competitor and notice what they're doing. She wasn't doing that. She stayed centered in her heart, focusing, breath, and she held it. Meanwhile, you've got bodybuilders and all of these people that are like predominantly known to be strong in their industry that were dropping these 40% of their weight, bags. And she didn't have this, fabulous, like exceptional background. She wasn't an Olympian like some people, or having this extensive training. She was a YouTube fitness person, right? Like she was just your everyday, I'm a person who works out a lot, So I'm going to put this in a different context because some of you don't work out and this may be not relatable to you. But have you ever seen a toddler and they're kind of cruising along and they're walking and they're still kind of unsure of themselves, but they have so much joy in learning how to like walk, and they're kind of, wobbling towards with happy expression of what they are doing. And then something like startles them. Some sound is made or something startles them, and all of a sudden they lose their balance because they were scared. Their thought transferred to getting to point B and how exciting it was going to be to, oh my gosh, I'm scared. And all of a sudden they lose their balance and their control. This happens in your work. This happens in everything that you're doing. As soon as your mind starts to shift to limitations, that's where it goes. In dance, like I do ballroom dancing, and I say ballroom dancing because we do a lot of turns, but I do West Coast, East Coast, all of these dances. And your body follows your head. So when you're spinning, you flip your head and your body follows. This is the same way with your attention. Wherever your attention goes, your body is going to follow that path. The emotions are going to stimulate from there. So having the discipline to stop your thoughts. And in hypnosis, we do things called pattern interrupts to help your body stop. You get the awareness that you're having the thoughts, and then you got to stop your body from having the physical reactions, because physical reactions become a habit. Like, so for instance, the Pavlov dog, you blow the whistle and the dogs knew that they were going to get fed. And so their body had a habitual response of saliva, right? Your body works the same way. You can get into a situation where as soon as you hear a sound, as soon as you hear a person or see a person or get into a situation, your body can go into a habitual response. And because it's so automatic, you don't even think about the thoughts coming up for you. So let's say you get your bank statement and you've habituated the feeling of anxiety, your heart racing. You've habituated the thought of, I don't have enough money. What am I going to do? Right? And your body goes into these natural responses. We can do something called a pattern interrupt to stop those and to calm your body down and get into your parasympathetic nerve, where your system calms down and you can have control over your thoughts and you can control your breathing. So those are your involuntary muscles. So anyway, I bring this to your attention because when we focus on where our attention is, this is a game changer. This can change your entire life. So if you want to think about, if you've ever been in a taxi, you get into the taxi and you tell the taxi driver where you want to go. This is how your brain works. The taxi driver is like your subconscious. It's there to take the order and drive you. Your thoughts, which come from your conscious part that is directing you, is what you need to focus on. So you as the passenger, you're getting into the car and you're telling your subconscious, this is where I want to go. This is what I am focusing on. So you as the passenger are telling the subconscious taxi driver, the subconscious part of your brain, where you want to go, what you want to do, and your body is going to respond. You have the control, you have the power, you have the choice, you have the responsibility. The key is awareness that you have this control, this power, this capability. So when you start channeling your thoughts, however you want to say this, focusing your thoughts, putting attention on where your thoughts are going, you can start changing so many things for you. When we got down on the show to like the bottom contestants, you will notice the difference in people's mentality. And it will become so black and white to you when people start to change their mindset. This is the same way it happens to you in your everyday life. I'm gonna bring up a circumstance that happened to me over the weekend. My teenager, being a teenager, we were cooking steaks this particular night, and we were getting, everything lined up for dinner. It was like steaks were already being grilled 10 to 15 minutes away from setting setting down and eating. My teenager comes and says, "Hey, can my friend come over for dinner?" While his friend is right there in front of us. So I've worked a lot on creating boundaries with my kids. And I'm definitely a person who loves to reciprocate. And this is one of my values, is reciprocating. And so I know that this particular friend has had my teenager over a lot of times. They have fed my kid a number of times, totally okay with doing it. What I didn't understand is that there was another friend in the house, in the bedroom, that was just automatically by default invited too, because I wasn't going to leave a person upstairs and like while everybody else is eating. I could have, that was my choice, whatever. But why I'm bringing up this story is, where did my thoughts go? My thoughts went to, first of all, this is a new conversation that I need to have with my kid to set up a boundary. But what really was coming up for me is scarcity and mindset. Like, do I have enough steak? Do I have enough food? I had bought enough food so we could have leftovers for the week. This is now taking away from me, right? And so once I started to have these thoughts, my body started responding, right? My chest got tighter. I was really having a hard time going to this extra friend that was hidden in the room and being like, "Food is ready." And they were so like, "Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it." Right. And my teeth were like clenched. And I was like, "Yeah, you're welcome." Like I was having a really hard time because my thoughts were coming from scarcity and not from abundance. And I walked away because I have that awareness, right? I could feel it in my body. I could see it in my behavior, that I wasn't coming from a place of love, that I wasn't coming from a place of freedom. And these are some of my top values. And I could recognize that I wasn't doing it. And I had to stop and I had to think about what fear is coming up for me. What are my thoughts focusing on? This is self-coaching. And so, once I identified this is coming from scarcity, I had to ask myself, do I believe in scarcity, or would I prefer to believe in abundance? Because it's a choice. Because whatever my mind focuses on, it creates for me. And I used to be a person who came from scarcity. I did the Dave Ramsey program, and I know I keep talking about this, but let's just talk about it for a really quick method. I am not anti Dave Ramsey. I use this program. It helped me get out of debt. I am forever grateful. What I have an issue with now is it created a habit of denying myself. Instead of focusing on abundance, it taught me I need to do without. Get comfortable with doing without. So, his theory is throw away everything, even the sink, practically throw everything, including your kids, out the window. Make do without scarcity. And this is me personally now. I don't want that lifestyle. I don't want that mentality. I would have preferred to have gone through a program that taught me about abundance and saying, you know what? The universe is unlimited. There's more options for you available, instead of saying, okay, well, I'm going to have to cut back on my groceries, cut back on going out with my friends, cut back on spending. Yes. Do I need to have discipline and make choices on how I spend my money? Always. But I really much more prefer coming from a place of abundance. There is always more. And if I spend my time, energy, and effort in creating more and being open to more and training my thoughts to look for more, then that is what I'm going to get. But how I operated in this program, and you may operate differently, because everybody's model reality is different. And so you could have gone through Dave Ramsey's program and you could have been like, well, I got a second job and that created more for me. And that was abundance, right? That could be your perception, and your perception is equally right. It is right for you, because I don't really like to think about right and wrong. It's right for you, right? And in this case, like, I didn't come from an abundance mindset. I came from a scarcity lack mindset. And I'm really anti that now. I want always to move my thoughts, and I choose to move my thoughts to abundance. So when I had this issue, the issue wasn't the circumstance. The issue was my thoughts. It was the thoughts I was having. And this is applicable to you guys, because everything that you're going through, it's what are you making it mean? What interpretations do you have? What is the root issue? Choosing what you want to believe, choosing what is possible, right? And so when I was in this situation with my kid, as soon as I was able to say, you know what? I can get more food later. This isn't a big deal. Like, I can open my heart and my mind and allow this to be the best situation possible. And then when the friends left, I had a lovely conversation with my kid, and I still came from a place of love. Like, I understood why my kid did this. I understood where he was coming from. And I can also let him know what I would prefer to see happen next time, and create my boundaries in the situation without holding any resentment or anger. Now, if I would have kept the thoughts of, you took food away from me for the rest of the week, or whatever mentality I had, then it would have been much harder to have that conversation coming from love with my teenager. Right? So look at your thoughts. What are you really thinking? As soon as you start noticing feelings, start disciplining your brain to understand that your feelings are coming from your thoughts, and to slow things down, and to pause, and to create that awareness to look at your thoughts. Just like the people that were doing this competition, as soon as they started to doubt, as soon as they started to move their focus onto their competitors, things started to change biologically in their brain and in their body. Every time that you can stop yourself. So let me back up here. You may have heard this, because this is one of the most common problems with coaching people, is that people don't know what they want. And a lot of coaches will talk about this, but that's not really, really true. People do know what they want. They know what they want so badly. But the problem is they've dismissed it. They've already predetermined why they can't have it. And so they don't let their mind and their thoughts go there. It's like, at some point, you stop dreaming big, you stop being grandiose, and you start thinking practical, and you start thinking realistic. And learning to have a balance between that, and knowing that so much is possible for you, and using your thoughts to help you get what you want, versus using your thoughts to stop you from getting what you want. When I coach people, there are certain areas in life, that certain circumstances that are very, very common for people. So people have a fear that they don't have enough time. I have to work on that. That's me personally. They have a fear that they don't have enough energy. You're tired, you're dragging, you have 6 cups of coffee, they have a fear of not enough money. This used to be me. And a lot of this came from the scarcity mindset. I've had to work really, really hard on stopping that thought. So again, let's just repeat this really quickly. Some of the limitations and the circumstances that stop you is not enough time, not enough money, not enough energy, not feeling good enough, not having self-worth, not knowing how to do something. These are fears. These are fears, but guess what? When you start working with your mind and you start thinking from possibility, you can really shift that for you. It might start off really small, or maybe you were ready for that shift and something can open up and expand within you, and it can be super powerful. What do you really want out of life, and why are you stopping yourself from getting it? Why have you pre-decided it's not possible? When you think from limitation, what are you creating in your life? Do you recognize that when you think from possibility, that you're open to more solutions versus when you think limitations, that's what you find? Whatever you're looking for, you're going to find. Can you school yourself? Can you train yourself to be aware of the thoughts that you're thinking and to know that your thoughts are creating in your life? When I sit down and do hypnosis with people, a lot of times I talk to them about stories, and I happen to be a story writer, right? My book, The Birth Challenge, is just about to be released. It's on pre-order sale by now, little hint there to go and look for that. But when you read a story, you stop thinking about it just being a book that you're holding in your hands or an iPad or a Kindle in your hands. You stop thinking about it being words and you start diving into the story. And a really good storyteller is going to make it to where you feel like you're in the story. You feel like this is happening to you. Your body starts responding. If you get a character that pisses you off, makes you really angry, you start feeling those symptoms of anger in your body. That's the power of a story, but that's the power of your mind. Whatever your attention is on, whatever you are focusing on is what you are creating. Everything in your life is a reflection of you, and that's a really, really hard lesson. But like, if you have a story that you're not confident to do something, how are you going to prove that wrong when your brain is programmed to prove you right? What's stopping you from believing you are confident? When do you have to create confidence for yourself? Like, how many times do you have to be confident in order to be applicable to you? Like, when you pour a glass of water, are you confident? Is that not a generalized behavior that you can apply to other things? When you do something repetitively over and over, you create the competence in it. But confidence is just a feeling. As a child, we were taught to be a certain way. But you naturally were a creative, imaginative person until one day you were told to start focusing on something else, to use your time and energy more productively. What I'm asking you to do now is to be a kid and to use your imagination. If you lack confidence, then start imagining what it feels like to be confident in a different situation. Like you're confident with buckling your seatbelt. But now imagine being confident in another task that right now you wish you had. Start imagining it, start creating that feeling and that recognition within your body. Allow yourself to think and dream big and to see these things possible, because whatever your mind is projecting, you are receiving. That's my message for you today. I thank you for being here. I thank you for listening to me. Again, I want to remind you to go out there, because I know how much you're going to enjoy my book, The Birth Challenge. So go out there and pre-order this book on ebook version or in your paperback version. It's there for you. If you're interested in coaching, I am completely booked up. So sorry, but get on my waiting list, get on my newsletter. More things are always going to be coming down the line. So I love you all, and I will see you next week.